What are you doing?
Nothing.
I thought we were going over Mr. 151's alt arts.
Oh, yeah. That is what we're doing.
Since he doesn't want to submit it, we may as well go over it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were doing.
Let's grade those.
Okay. Starter family, we have Mr. 151's pulls for some reason in a Pokemon Go tin that I found under his bed. A bit questionable if you ask me. He thinks the whole system is rigged.
He's a little superstitious.
He thinks you can't get a 10 if you're not Cool Trainer Ryan or PokeRev or Leonhardt. So we're going to steal these cards. We're going to submit them to PSA. We're going to go over them so you can see it.
We want your comments down below telling him that he needs to submit them because we think they look pretty good, but we're going to be going over them here.
Spam Mr. 151, submit your cards because we have his 10 best pulls, which you're in for an absolute treat with these things. A lot of value here, we personally think, and that's why we're grading them for you guys today.
So as a collector of Pokemon cards, the one thing that you want to look at is how good actually is my card. There's a thing called grading. We'll send in your card, and the company is going to look at 4 key qualities of your card, and based on those qualities is going to determine the price of the card. They're going to look at centering, they're going to look at edges, corners, and surface. Surface being the most important. Ideally, you want to get a 10. But in order to get a 10, it has to be near perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through Mr. 151's top 10 pulls, and we're going to see if any of them we think would get a 10.
Coming in at number 10, we have Sylveon V from Evolving Skies. I've never seen this card before. I don't know where 151 got it. I'm going to assume he pulled it out of a pack.
He might have bought it.
I have no clue. This card comes in at $57 raw and $130 PSA 10. Praying this thing is a 10. Red, what do we got?
All right. So like I said, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the centering. To me, the centering looks really good. And what we're looking at is left and right. Silver borders look identical. We don't want one bigger than the other. Same with top to bottom. It looks pretty good. Let's look at the back. Now here's where things get a little bit dicey. You can see that this corner looks a little bit different than this corner. And I'm talking about millimeters. Otherwise, there is a little tiny white speck there on the card. All in all, I don't think that this would get a 10. I think it would be a close 9, 9.5, which might not make it worthwhile to send in.
I would agree. Coming in at number 9, we have another card I've never seen before. I didn't even know we pulled this, and I'm jealous that he did, because this was the Scarlet and Violet #1 chase card. We have Miriam, Secret Alternate Rare. I mean, Secret Art Rare, Secret Alternate Rare, whatever you want to call it. This card goes for $53 ungraded, but $440 PSA 10.
Oh, say less.
I am praying this card is a 10. Red, what do we got?
So these are one of the cards that you would want to submit, right? High chance to profit, low risk, right? So let's see. Front looks absolutely perfect on the centering. Maybe a very slight difference in the left to right, which is minimal. PSA or CGC doesn't really care about that as long as it's close. Now the back looks absolutely perfect. This is dead center of the card. I don't see any white marks anywhere. This little thing that you're seeing up here, that's just part of the top loader. Everything on this card looks absolutely amazing. I would say this is a guaranteed send in. I don't see anything on the surface of the card, though it is kind of hard to tell. I think this could be a 10 candidate. It's hard to say, but I think it could be a 10.
Coming in at number 8, we have the first alt art that we ever pulled on the starters. Umbreon V from Evolving Skies. This card is absolutely beautiful. $90 ungraded, 212 PSA 10. We had no idea what this card was when we first pulled it. Red, what do we have on this card? It's a beautiful card.
Keep in mind, all these are pulled by him. Somehow.
All of it is Mr. 151's pulls.
This looks pretty good at first glance. I'm not seeing anything too crazy on the front. I'm not seeing any kind of dings. The centering looks pretty good. Let's check out the back. Surprisingly looks really good. That's just on the top loader. Top to bottom is a little bit off center. You can see that this chunk of blue up here is a little bit bigger than this chunk down here. But I think this could get a 10, at least a 9, 9.5.
It could get like a PSA 10, maybe BGS 9.5.
Maybe BGS 9.5.
Coming in at number 7, we have the Jurassic Park himself, Aerodactyl V alt art from Lost Origin. Wow. Mr. 151 has not pulled 1, but 2 of these bad boys. And it goes for 112 ungraded and 225 PSA 10.
One of my favorite cards of all time.
Red, what are we thinking on the grade here?
This one is actually an interesting grade. So you can see that this corner is bigger than this corner centering-wise. So that means it's actually diagonally centered, right? Which is not ideal, and you can tell that it's very top to bottom because this line is much smaller than it is up here. So centering is not looking too hot, and the same exact thing on the back. And the bottom is definitely pretty off-centered. This is going to get more than likely an 8.5 to a 9.
Wow. Could we call it a miscut because
It could be.
the diagonal?
It's not terribly off-center to where it would get a miscut. Miscuts are normally pretty bad. But all in all, I would still send it in. I would be happy with a 9.
Really?
9.5 here. Why not, right? It gets encased in the plastic. You never have to worry about it again. I would send it in.
Okay. Coming in at number 6, we have the best pull we ever got on a live stream, Espeon VMAX Alternate Art from Fusion Strike. This card does something to me. Mr. 151 pulled this, and it goes for 145 ungraded and about 375 PSA 10. Please tell me this is a 10 because that card is so nice.
All right. So you can see on these VMAXs, we don't actually have a border going all the way up to the top and all the way around, right? So you kind of have to speculate. So you can see here in the bottom, this side is a little bit bigger than this side, not by much though, so that's not a huge deal. And the bottom is pretty consistent all the way across. Really, with cards like this, that's kind of your only indicator. And then we can kind of look at the back, and the back will kind of tell the same story, right? So the top is a little bit bigger than the bottom, and the left is a little bit bigger than the right. But when it comes to PSA, it's a 60-40 split. The card does not have to be 50-50 dead center for it to get a 10. It can be 60% pushed a little bit to the right or up, down, something like that. I think this could definitely be a 10 candidate. I'm not seeing any whitening. The corners look great. The edges look great. Again, it all comes down to the surface, which we can't really tell from here. They actually do put it under a microscope to look at this thing. Yes, they check for anything at all.
Huh.
So I would say this is a definite send in, especially with the monetary value of getting a 10. Will it get a 10? It'd be close. 9.5, 10, I would say.
I can live with that. Coming in at number 5 is a card that hurts my soul a little bit because I've also pulled this card and you'll never see the light of day because the video got corrupted. We have Charizard V Alternate Art from Brilliant Stars, going for 145 ungraded and about 350 PSA 10. This card was one of our first Chase Alt-Art Zards we ever got, and Red, tell me what it is.
All right.
Because it's going to break my heart a little bit, but very excited to see what we get on this.
So at first glance, centering looks absolutely immaculate on the front, which is perfect. The only thing, it might be kind of hard to see, but in this corner, you can almost see that it's a little bit like raised, right? Which is a little bit concerning on edges and corner grade. I don't think it's too much cause of concern, but shout out Blissey. So Mr. 151 actually put this sticker on the back of this card to show that it's the one that he pulled and not the one that Blue pulled. That he's literally that competitive. Yeah. This side is a little bit smaller than this side. You can probably see that just with the naked eye. I think all in all, centering looks pretty good. There is a little white dot right there up at the top. I can't tell. Nope, that's on the top loader.
Let's go.
Everything on this card I think looks absolutely solid. I would definitely send this one in. Wait the time, get the card back. Hope it comes back at 10. I think it's a 9.5, 10 candidate.
Coming in at number 4, we have a card that has a very special place in my heart because it is one of our most viewed videos of all time on this channel. It is Charizard V Shiny from Champion's Path. This card is immaculate, going for about 175 ungraded and about 350 to 375 PSA 10. Red, please tell me this is a 10 because this card is an all-time card.
Absolutely one of my favorites. This card, definitely a special place in my heart too. This centering is a little bit right to left. Nothing crazy though. Again, you kind of have to extrapolate when it comes up to the corners. But I think all in all, the centering is pretty good. It's a little, like I said, right to left. Not too shabby. Let's check out the back. Again, we are getting so lucky with no white spots. A lot of times you'll find on these cards, they will have little tiny white spots on them. That is an immediate like 9. 8.59 if it has 1. So we're getting really lucky that these don't have it. The centering on the back looks pretty good. Again, a little right to left. No cause for concern though. Corners look great. I would send this in. I think this is actually one of our better candidates to getting a 10. So I would say this is a strong 9.5, almost definite 10.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Coming in at number 3, we have a card that was part of our first ever Japanese opening, Miriam Trainer card.
He almost threw it.
They thought it was a regular card. We had no idea the value. Coming in at about 170 ungraded and about 310 PSA 10. This card is absolutely phenomenal. We pulled it in English as well, but obviously Japanese carries a little bit more value just because the scarcity. Red, what are we thinking on this card?
All right. So this will actually be interesting because we get to see what the back of a Japanese card looks like and how you grade those too. So this will be cool. One thing to keep in mind, Japanese cards are almost always 9+. They are absolutely printed to perfection. And you can tell that immediately with this card. Absolutely picture perfect centering on the front. Not a single thing wrong with it. Absolutely incredible.
Whoa.
In the back, totally different border. Harder to tell.
Looks awesome.
But it's where the yellow meets the blue, right? So you go around. It's not a definite border, so it's a little bit trickier to tell. But this is absolutely centered perfectly. There's nothing wrong with this card. I would say this is a guaranteed 10.
The back is infinitely cooler on the Japanese.
I like the back on the Japanese cards.
It's so much cooler. Coming in at number 2, a card that I've only ever seen on video. None of us were there when it was pulled. This is Rayquaza VMAX Evolving Skies coming in at $290 ungraded and $590 PSA 10. What? This card is one of the sickest cards in the recent era. Red, what are we thinking on this grade? It's just phenomenal.
This is absolutely one of the best cards I think they've made in the recent era.
I agree.
Hands down. It's my favorite personally, but favorites don't matter. But this is absolutely incredible. The only problem, starting off, is it is a little bit left to right centered, which is okay. You know, it's not terrible. It's not super off centered. It's not miscut. Top to bottom actually looks okay. Again, we don't have the border along the top, so we do have to extrapolate a little bit. Let's check out the back. The back will normally tell the same tale. So a little left to right. A little left to right. Up here, it's very difficult to see, but there is one little white tiny dot. That could just be dust. And what you would want to do if you ever came across that is you want to see if you can kind of scratch that off just with your finger very gently, because if you can, that's actually amazing, right? You don't want that on the card at all. You can actually also take a Q-tip with rubbing alcohol and just kind of go with it very gently, and it'll clean up the card as well. And if there is any white spots that aren't supposed to be there, it'll clean those up. The only thing wrong with this card really being the centering. When you do submit more expensive cards to PSA, they tend to be more critical.
Really?
Right? So it is more difficult to get a more expensive card in a 10 because they don't want to flood the market with expensive 10s.
I guess that makes sense.
Right? So really, I would say this has a pretty decent chance at a 10. I would say it's a 9.5, realistically.
Okay. I don't want to live with that answer, but it is what it is. Coming in at number 1, we have the most heinous card to ever grace the hobby in the last 5 years. We have Umbreon VMAX pulled from an MJ Holdings mystery box.
How do we even
know if it's legit? I don't know. MJ Holdings is questionable at best. I like to think it is. It is $630 ungraded and $1,500 PSA 10.
Unreal.
Red, if this isn't a 10, I might cry. What are we thinking?
Again, with expensive cards, they are going to very thoroughly check this. First thing I am seeing is we are very lucky. The centering is immaculate. On the front, absolutely perfect. Maybe like 51%, 49%. I will take that. Top to bottom, again, you have to extrapolate, but it looks amazing, right? We check out the back. Same exact story is being told. The centering looks amazing. Look at those edges, the corners. Every part of this card looks like it was just printed at the factory. I don't think we could have gotten luckier pulling this card and it being in the condition that it is. I think that if we did not get a 10 on this, we would break it out of the seal and resubmit it. I think this should be a 10, and that would be my grade if I was a grader.
Absolutely sensational. Our producer in the back is absolutely freaking out. It's phenomenal. So, Red, are we printing this packing label and sending him off?
I think we need to send him off.
I agree.
He's being too superstitious. We need to just send him.
I think we just go. I think we just send it and see what we get. And we'll let you know with our polls in about 6 to 12 months' time with PSA's slow-ass grading. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you appreciated this type of content. We're going to get some more on maybe Blue's best polls, which is few and far between, and maybe Red's best polls, which are a bit better. And we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. That's amazing.